Hey guys, my name is Erica, and this is an episode of Raising Light Babies. Today, I wanted to talk about the idea of dreams, childhood dreams. When you ask a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? Depending on their age, they'll tell you, I want to be Captain America. I want to be Spider Man. I want to be Messi. I want to be Ronaldo. Right now my son is like, I want to be a soccer player like Messi, and I want to end up playing for Inter Miami just how Messi does. And I know that as a parent sometimes this can be one insulting, especially if we have careers and we provide for these kids. Like, no, you should be what I want, what, like me, not like some random guy. you know but and there's like sometimes this desire to tell them that, or to redirect them towards something more realistic or something more along the lines of the real world, something that's more um, inside of, like, more realistic, something that is easily, that can happen more easily than, say, becoming the number one soccer player in the world. So today I wanted to talk about why I think that we should feed these dreams in our children as opposed to redirecting them. So dreams are like seeds, right? The more we plant seeds, the more we learn how to garden. When we learn to water the seed, we learn to tend to the soil, we learn how to care for a baby plant, we're learning to garden. When your child has a dream, no matter what the dream is, even if it's like wacko, Captain America, that dream is a chance to teach your child how to garden, how to bring a dream into fruition. And it's for that reason that I think that it's better just to help them through it, right? What do dreams teach us? Dreams teach us three things. Number one, discipline. Following your dreams requires discipline. So, okay, you want to be a pro soccer player? You have to practice. Practice more than the next guy. That's how you become the best in no matter what you do. So, with my son and his desire to be a soccer player, I've always told him, all right, but practicing with your team 2 to 3 times a week isn't enough. You need to make sure that you make time to dribble the ball, to practice, to keep the ball in confined spaces, to do so much more than what you're being taught, and to train so much more than what you are training with your team, to go above and beyond, to always try 100%, not skip the, especially in recreational sports and dance. I remember as a child, I used to dance, and there's always this desire to, like, oh no, I'm not going to do it full. I'm not going to do the full dance because it's practice. No, do it because every time you go 100%, you just get better. You learn more. You get to critique yourself in a way, and to get you get a chance to be better the next time. Whereas if you're not trying, you're just like, you know if you aren't going 100% during practices, you're probably you're gonna lag behind the guy that is. If you're cheating on the amount of dribbles that you do, on the amount of exercises that you do, you're cheating yourself out of the full opportunity to grow in that particular area. So, extra practice, self driven work. to go all the way. If you have to do 100 crunches, don't just do 75 and say you did 100. Do the 100, because it takes more it takes that self-driven work in order to fulfill any dream, right? The other thing that I always encourage him to do is to be curious about people for more than just soccer, for example. To stay on the soccer example, for Messi, I encourage him to look at Messi's life more than as a soccer player. What endorsements has he gotten? When did he get his endorsements? How do you get an endorsement? What are his investments? What has he done to make sure that at his age, current age of 36, and thinking about retiring, how is he going to make that money that he's made through his soccer career last to the end of his life? What what can he do next? What is a viable option for a soccer player who is asked to retire at a young age? If I've always told him about the example of Shaq, who went and got a graduate degree because he felt as though when he would go into meetings, even though he was the talent, he was the front, he was the investor in a lot of these meetings, he would be bypassed when conversations came to money and legal matters, because the people to whom with whom he would negotiate would defer automatically to his accountant or his attorney or his business manager, because they assumed that he didn't know these things. So he decided to go and get a graduate degree so that he would be able to lead in those conversations as well. And that's something I always tell my son. I'm like, well, if you want to be a soccer player, you need to understand that the average career span of a soccer player is into their 30s, maybe if you're Zidane, into your 40s, right? But after that, you really have to have a manage, really have to learn how to manage your money, how to make it multiply. You need to know about finances and you need to know how to make that money stretch. So you really got to be good with numbers. You really have to pay attention when it comes to learning about investing and stretching out your money. All these, so the point is that there's transferable skills in from between these dreams, these childhood dreams that might seem like a long shot, and the real world. And if we focus on that in our children, we're teaching them to fish as opposed to telling them what fish they should be catching. It doesn't matter. If I teach you to fish, no matter what you choose, you'll know how to fish, right? You'll know what what it takes to succeed. One huge example that always comes to mind is, I have two like rappers. Two rappers that come to mind are Jay-Z and T.I., that are always talking about how before they became rappers, they were already businessmen in nefarious ways, in ways that were not legal, ways that could have landed them in jail. But those skills, they always say it, are 100% transferable. If you know how to run a business in the black market, you will know how to run a business correctly. Those skills are still transferable. So that discipline can that it takes to become a soccer player, it can transfer into whatever career that he decides to go in. And therefore, it's not worth it to crush his dreams. When I was a kid, the way that my parents, um, like many other parents, decided to go about it was to tell me, like, honey, being a dancer is probably not going to happen for you. Why don't you think of something else? Why don't you think of something that needs a college degree? Or why don't you think of something that will make you more money and be more secure? where which was great advice in reality, but the unintended consequences of them saying that to me was an insecurity in my own decision making, and wanting from other people, and this need for other validation from outside for my own dreams, something that I had to spend a lot of time unlearning as an adult, unraveling as an adult. Whereas if we don't do that, but we teach our children the skills that they need to succeed in whatever it is, they can still have that. They can have that intact. They can stay with, they won't lose their self confidence, their ability to dream for themselves, but they will learn the skills, right? So I encourage you guys to look at the bigger perspective when it comes to your child and their dream, or your children and their dreams. Not necessarily as the career, the path. All right, we need to get you in the best soccer practice. We need to get you in the best club, the best. Sure, you can do that, but make sure that you're also thinking and imparting those transferable skills, those skills that can be applied to any career, to any dream that they might decide that they want, right? Because there's no guarantee. Just because my son is playing soccer now, there's no guarantee that he will end up playing soccer. And there is like this push within those sports, specifically like child sports, to push them so hard for them to reach at least the collegiate level or the professional level. But the truth is, those many sports are just, many of these kids are just one injury away from having to choose something else. So rather than push them in this dream, of course we can encourage. I always encourage him. I take him, I do, you know, I give him every opportunity to succeed, because you never know at the end of the day. However, I also focus on those transferable skills, because that's where the gold is. So yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you guys today. Support the dream, man. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't take away anything to allow your child to have big, beautiful, huge dreams according to their age. And it takes discipline. And discipline is so hard to teach, that if your child has a dream that requires discipline, which all dreams do, why not use that? Allow it to fuel their desire to go harder, to get more, to come back, to try again, to fall and get back up. Because these are lessons that they're not going to lose, even if the dream changes. So next time your child tells you, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be this, be like, yeah, baby, let's do it. Well, to be an astronaut, you need to know about science. You need to be very, very good at, and push them to go the extra mile for their dream, no matter what it could be. So if you like this type of content, if it resonated with you in any way, I welcome you to subscribe, to like, to comment. Let's start a conversation. But if you don't, I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.